had this problem. And it didn't start out real bad in the beginning. I mean, it's really true, and I know people heard this, cliche, that addiction is a progressive and fatal illness. If unchecked, well, jails, institutions, and death. And sometimes it's not necessarily in that order. And I started out not knowing, I was sick and didn't even know it. We was, what you would call it, weekend warriors. We go out, tie one on for the weekend, come Monday morning, back at the grind, come the next weekend, doing the same thing, until after a while, the progressiveness of this disease made the weekends just wasn't enough. And it became, weekends and then real special days and holidays and then birthdays and all kinds of days, and it became Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday. It just took over my life. And trying to understand how this thing, worked, it was, puzzling to me. Because there were more than a few people that said, look, all you gotta do is just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you can get through this. It's just a willpower. You don't have the willpower to quit. And this is the information that I got from people who were grossly uninformed. Because back in that time, it really wasn't touted or promoted as a disease. And even today, there are a lot of people that will tell you that this addiction problem that we have is no more than somebody's lack of moral fortitude. You don't have guts to stay away from it, or it's just that they don't want to quit. When, in actuality, it has been classified as a disease. We were talking about that in the DSM-4. It's listed as a disease. And I had to look that up. And because people ask all the time, well, what qualifies something to be a disease or not? And I looked at one of the simple definitions of what a disease is. A disease is a particular quality, habit, or disposition regarded as adversely affecting a person or group of people. A disorder of structure or function in a human, one that produces specific signs and systems that affects its normal life, daily life. And when we look at the disease of addiction, we could definitely see signs and symptoms of what this disease is. On the way down, we talked about this argument that people have that, well, they want to use drugs, that's their choice. They do it because they want to. And that's not true all the time. I related a story about a friend of mine who got stung by, anybody in here allergic to bees? Anybody know anybody that's allergic to bees? Well, the first time they got stung, was there a reaction to that bee sting that you know of? Because more than likely, it wasn't. The first time they got stung by a bee, it didn't affect them. But unbeknownst to them, that some of the genetic dispositions that, somewhere in your DNA, that whatever the bee injected into them, got in and mixed with some other stuff that's inside our body that produced another condition, that it was just waiting for the next time that substance came in contact with it, that would trigger a response. And sure enough, the next time our friend got stung by a bee, after a few minutes, because the first time we figured, well, he got stung before. It's no biggie. Not to worry. Then after a few minutes, it's like, man, I'm feeling funny. I'm getting dizzy. I'm having a hard time breathing. And we're like, oh boy. And we hurried up and got him to the hospital. And this here is what, the doctors tell us, because it's not the initial bee sting that does it. It's when your body, and depending on what genetic precursors that you have, is going to dictate how you're going to react when certain substances are introduced to your body. Same way with alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, heroin. There are some people that can take this stuff, try it, man, it wasn't a big deal, and they can leave it alone. Then there's other ones, as soon as we take it, there is an allergic reaction that's triggered that sends us down that little rabbit hole, and we're off to see Alice in Wonderland. And it is hard for us to come back because it's an allergic reaction and we don't know, well, the body, it forces us to that obsessive compulsive disorder that we talk about, inside our own groups. That you know that this is something that's bad, but you can't help it. You can't stop. And this is where we think that allergic reaction, both psychological and physical, causes us to move into an area that we know is dangerous, and some of the things that we do, it goes beyond reason, but yet, for the love of that drug, for the need of that drug, it gets done. How do you combat something like that? How do you fight against that? Well, some people say just simple abstinence is enough. Just stay away from it. If you know, Chelsea, if you know something bad for you, why would you do it again? If you wouldn't. But there's people that know that. And the psychological part to this, that obsessive idea that, you think about it, 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 and it just overwhelms you. And then the compulsion starts that after the substance is introduced into you, you can't stop. I guess I am going to have to do it. Anybody watch that TV show, Monk? What do you think about him?
Doesn't he have like an over-compulsive thing where he's got to have things in certain spots, or?
That, like OCD,
Yeah.
compulsive disorder,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, obsessive compulsive disorder, because things that aren't right, and if they're not right, he's got to, or don't touch me because I got, this thing about Johnny. In some respects, same thing with us. We can't help it. And it's not like, it's treatable. And there are some people that would argue some of the treatment, options. For alcoholics, they have that interviews that if you drink, it's just going to make you feel like crap. You're going to get sick. You're going to throw up everything that's in your stomach. Some of the other things for the drug addiction, opiates, they're going to give you this fantastic drug called Suboxone that's supposed to block the effects of opiates on your body. And, well, this is where you trade one addiction for another, one drug for another drug, Some people say, if you find God, get enough God in your life, that He can cure you of this, He can relieve you of that obsession. And I wouldn't scoff at that too quickly. There is some truth in that, but it has to be coupled with some other things, I feel. I'm not here to promote any one organization over another. I belong to a 12-step organization that has helped me in battling that disease of addiction. And as long as I follow the prescribed path, the last 5 years have been very successful in handling that disease of addiction. Whereas when I first came into the rooms, that my impulses were, I'm just hanging on for dear life, come hell or high water. When problems hit, when that craving hit, I just don't want to get high. I don't want to get high. I don't want to get high. Please help me not get high. And this is what we do for one another in 12-step programs. The ultimate weapon for somebody that's suffering from any kind of disease of addiction is another recovering addict. Somebody that has been there, that has done that, that can show you and bring you into the path to put you on the road to some kind of normalcy in your life. And in the beginning, that's all I wanted to do. Just wanted to stop using drugs. That's it. I had no idea some of the things that would open up to me in looking at this 12-step program. And the way that the steps are, and I'm not going to try to give you a class on this because I know that some of you have probably touched on this or read it somewhere, but with the steps, number one, first thing I had to come to realize that step one was that I had to realize that I'm powerless over my addiction and look at how unmanageable my life is. Now, in the beginning, I could see that because I knew that the drugs were making my life unmanageable because I couldn't stop using. And when I became unemployable, it means, what happens when you're unemployed? I will pick on you. Yeah.
You might get unemployment or you might not.
Well, if you never really work long enough, you never get unemployment. You get fired for not, no phone, no show. You got any money?
No.
How do you get high if you don't have any money?
Well, hard. Then
Really
you start
hard.
stealing if you really want to.
Stealing. Where do you think stealing's gonna get you?